WIBC 8 now.
Keeping lines of communication open. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden will speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu days after an Israeli airstrike killed aid workers in Gaza.
The conversation between the leaders will be the first since several aid workers, including an American with World Central Kitchen, were killed in an airstrike in Gaza. President Biden says he was outraged and heartbroken by the attack.
Of course, we want to see them do things differently to prevent civilian casualties. Absolutely. And that's been an ongoing conversation that we've been having with them for many months.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says while the president has expressed frustration with some operations in Gaza, Israel will continue to have American support in their fight to eliminate the threat from Hamas.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The bodies of the 6 aid workers are headed to their home countries. Their Palestinian driver was also killed. His body was handed over to his family in Gaza. A top U.S. commander in the Middle East is expressing concern about retaliatory attacks on American forces there. That's after airstrikes Iran blames on Israel killed commanders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps Monday in Syria. A New York judge has denied former President Trump's bid to delay his April 15th trial on charges that he falsified finances to cover up payments he made to porn star Stormy Daniels. At least 9 people have died in Taiwan's worst earthquake in 25 years.
The quake hit just off the eastern coast of Taiwan, luckily less developed, but the damage was still dangerous and widely felt. Buildings in the main city hit by the tremor, while Lane collapsing or perched at precarious angles. It happened at rush hour local time this morning, catching a lot of people out. Rescue teams struggled to find survivors, along with the dead and injured. Well over 100 people remain missing under the...
Fox's Greg Palcott. America is listening to Fox News.
'93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He was caught with drugs and guns. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. It was a traffic stop that led to a drug bust in Indianapolis. Donnie Burgess reports.
IMPD officer Amanda Hipschman says detectives were on North Emerson Monday night
when they witnessed a hand-to-hand drug transaction take place in a nearby parking lot.
That led to William Collins being pulled over. He's a felon, and he had a gun with him. That stop led police to a nearby business, and they got a search warrant.
The search of that business resulted in the recovery of 3 additional firearms. 2 of those had been reported as stolen previously.
The cops also found meth, cocaine, fentanyl, and marijuana. William Collins faces several drug charges. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Public education in Indiana needs some improving, says Republican candidate for Governor Brad Chambers.
Right? You got to have a dream that our kids are going to have more individualized education. You got to have a dream that our 3rd graders go into 4th grade reading and being able to read, because they're 4 times more likely to drop out of school if they can't read.
Talking with WIBC's Tony Katz, Chambers compared improving education in the state to turning the Titanic. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway spent 6 years planning for the solar eclipse with a watch party, says IMS President Doug Bowles.
Of those 40,000 people we expect to be here, 75% of them have never been to the Speedway before. So it's a brand new customer, somebody that's never seen the Speedway. So it's a great opportunity.
He says the infield and some of the grandstands will be open for you to check out the eclipse next Monday. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Rain and snow turning into maybe just a little bit of pure snow showers overnight. Nothing heavy. Low around 35 degrees. Winds out of the west at 15 to 25 miles per hour. 70% chance of snow in your region. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Sudas for 93 WIBC.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free. with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. Spring has sprung and summer is right around the corner, which means family and friends and food galore. Do you know if your garbage disposal is ready for all that fun ahead? During the month of April, my friends at Hope Plumbing are offering a $100 off an upgraded garbage disposal. That's right, upgrade your current garbage disposal and get $100 off. Call Hope Plumbing or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com or give them a call at 641-HOPE and get ahead of the summer fun.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey.
The Amber and Nigel show. All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening, howdy, hello, and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis. The live streams over at Twitter, X, and YouTube, and the podcast services everywhere else. Well, the most important news today, we're going to slide up front, though perhaps many won't find it to be the most important news, and that is that the Biden administration has canceled any plans to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which Biden emptied out in order to give his administration artificially lower gas prices. Otherwise, after, Biden canceling the Keystone Pipeline and other electric vehicle and anti-oil mandates, we're going to bring gas up to between $5 and $6 a gallon. He started draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And that Strategic Petroleum Reserve is kind of important. It's used primarily for two things. Number one, in case the United States is ever cut off from energy sources so that there is a shortage. Or number two, and most importantly, in case the United States ever needs to use that Strategic Petroleum Reserve to fuel equipment for the United States military in the event of some type of altercation, some type of action, or war. And President Biden drained it to artificially lower gas prices and announced today that, no, we're not actually going to refill it at all. Here's what that looked like.
So you guys started draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and help with the Putin price hike a few years ago. Said you were going to refill it, but now it doesn't seem like that's happening. Why?
Well, I believe the Department of Energy is responsible for that particular component, is refilling that. So I would refer you to the Department of Energy. I know there were certain components to that, and how they were going to move forward in refilling it. They would have more specifics on that.
Do you guys know who the Secretary of the Department of Energy is? That's Jennifer Granholm. Do you know who appointed Jennifer Granholm? Oh yeah, that's President Biden. So funny thing here, the executive branch has several departments that they oversee. Karine Jean-Pierre is the press secretary for that executive branch, which oversees those. So when she says, well, that's like the Department of Energy, like that's not really like our thing. It is literally your thing. This isn't like, Ducey's, or it isn't like he's up there asking, hey, can you comment on this one Democrat senator or something like this? He's saying Biden is in charge of the Department of Energy, and everyone in the room nods their heads. Why isn't Biden ordering the Department of Energy to refuel the most important resource reserve the United States possesses? It's just like, well, I don't really know anything about that, so we're gonna move on. Just incredible. Speaking of incredible, the Mass General Brigham Hospital system will no longer report babies who are born with drugs in their system to child welfare because it, quote, disproportionately affects black people, end quote. And this is the the piece de resistance of the BLM and DEI movements is that when you start suggesting that you can't show pictures of criminals, or you can't prosecute shoplifting, or you can't report babies who are born with drug addictions based on prenatal drug use by the parent, because that would disproportionately affect black people, you are openly saying, we think black people do these things. When you set a standard that has nothing to do with color, then black people aren't targeted by that text of that law. But when you create rules that disproportionately elevate or denigrate certain color groups, you end up being the racist ones. And by the way, this is illegal in every single state. You are not allowed to forsake any part of mandatory reporting. As a guy in the education system, I got lectured once because I waited for 30 minutes in order to report something that I had received in an email to the Department of Child Services. And it turned out that I hadn't even read the email in that 30 minutes. But that's how serious being a mandatory reporter is. You need to report a single instance or a hint of any kind when it comes to child abuse. And I'm sorry, but it does not matter what color you are. If you did heroin or crack or any other kind of drug while you were pregnant and the baby comes out with an addiction, guess what? That might be a situation in which case the Department of Child Services was actually built for and should get involved. And that's not the only crime that is a mess for those on the left, because crime from New York City to Chicago is getting progressively worse. New York is in such a dire state right now that individuals are running around sucker punching people on camera as some part of a TikTok craze. Homicides, according to the Council on Criminal Justice, homicides are up 18% since 2019. The Biden administration has coddled crime across the major cities under the guise of restorative justice. Again, this idea that, well, there are all these groups that are, historically oppressed by these white racial justice systems. So what we need to do is let everyone out on bail all of the time. And that's what all of these blue prosecutors that are often funded by Jeff Bezos have sought to do. And when Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary for the head of the executive branch, was pressured on this today, here was her response.
Do you guys think that some big cities in this country have liberal DAs that are too soft on crime?
Look, what I will say is I'm not going to speak to every state or city here. It's not for me to speak to. We have been very clear about this. Anyone who commits a crime and is found guilty needs to be held accountable. That's what this president believes.
That's not true, because according to this administration, who has repeatedly encouraged and signed executive orders for parole programs in which illegal immigrants are let out of jail to roam free around the United States and beat cops, rape women, and commit more murders, that certainly is not how the Biden administration handles law and order. As Donald Trump put it concurrently when he visited the wake of a slain New York City police officer who was killed under the exact same kind of policies that Kathy Hochul and President Joe Biden have made the hallmarks of their career. And this type of progressive attitude towards illegal behavior and illegal immigrants who are coming into this country and are committing crimes is not going to bode well for the Democrats in 2024. And the Democrats know this because they're freaking out about two things. Number one, they're freaking out that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is clearly taking moderate Democrat votes away from Biden, especially in battleground states. There is an incredibly huge margin that Trump has over Biden in Arizona right now, up between 4 and 8 points in a serious battleground state. And the same case can be said in Michigan. Pennsylvania is also not looking good for Biden. Same with Georgia. And these things really don't have anything to be countered. They're aiming on Trump being indicted over the summer in the Jack Smith prosecutor case over the classified documents and over a Stormy Daniels hush money case that might actually involve a very corrupt judge from New York sending Trump to prison based on paying a porn star to shut up about stooping Trump. So this judge from New York, Judge Juan Merchan, his daughter is the president of a massive Democrat campaign operation. She's taken millions of dollars from Democrats, including Adam Schiff and Kamala Harris. By the way, his daughter's avatar on social media is a picture of Trump behind bars. And his wife, the wife of this judge, who's overseeing this Trump Stormy Daniels case, has worked under New York Attorney General Letitia James. Not to mention that as soon as Trump started to point this out and says, look, this is kind of sketchy, then Judge Merchan placed a gag order on Trump so he couldn't even talk about questions about this legal case, which is a direct violation of the First Amendment. I'm allowed to question the judge overseeing my case. That's a fundamental right as an American. I don't think that I am being treated fairly. I don't care if you have $2 to rub together or $2 billion. You have a right to complain about the judge or the jury or the lawyers overseeing the case. Period. A gag order is meant to keep you from disparaging a defendant in a crime. Like if there was an individual who was in a criminal case in which they were accused of raping the defendant. And in this criminal case, the individual who is the defendant goes out saying, well, actually, this person just a really terrible person and they deserve to get raped. Yeah, that's a case where a gag order is necessary. Yelling that the judge really, really favors Democrats at a time when a lot of Americans believe these are politically motivated attacks is not going to work well for the Democrats in the upcoming election. And it's not just getting weird in the New York case, because according to new documents received, Jack Smith, the special prosecutor appointed by President Biden's Department of Justice on the Trump document case, is getting even worse, because Jack Smith is throwing a fit, saying that Trump needs to be charged as some kind of treasonous insurrectionist, despite a lot of evidence to the contrary. And I know that the Democrats, this is their Hail Mary pass. They just hope that Trump will get in jail and then that they'll boost 15% in the polls. And I'm sorry, guys. The illegal immigrant crisis is too prevalent in the minds of Americans right now. They actually have genuine concerns about their safety, about the economy, about a lot of crap that's going on in illegal immigrants taking up residence on their kids' schools and football fields. And it's just not going to matter to them very much that Trump paid a porn star to shut her mouth about having an affair. Some things just don't matter as much as you think they do. Up next, we're going to talk about the terrifying futuristic evil of Uber Eats and Doordash. Ooh. You are listening to the Tony Kinnacast on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I also did say that men are not women and women are not men, and men do not breastfeed and never will, because those are facts. And anybody who says otherwise, that person shouldn't be allowed to practice medicine. They're crazy. I will have that debate with anyone at any med school anywhere. Let's start setting a standard that we focus on medicine and not insanity.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
If you're unaware, T-Mobile calls themselves the Un-carrier, which is fitting considering they've just unraveled their price lock guarantee for new customers. If you ask me, that's pretty uncool. If you're uncomfortable with a company that says one thing but does another, then switch to Xfinity, whose whole home Wi-Fi, wired internet, service, speed, and reliability are unparalleled. Unjoin the Un-carrier. Switch to Xfinity today. Now through April 21st, new customers can get 300 megabits per second Xfinity internet for $35. And ask how you can save 40% over T-Mobile in your first year. Switch today. Go to Xfinity.com/TMOFAX, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account and a 1-year contract. Connect more internet versus T-Mobile Home Internet, $60 a month. Regular pricing applies after promo period. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary. Effective for new customers after 1/17/2024. T-Mobile's price lock will only reimburse your last bill if you terminate service due to a price increase.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, over 3 million people called Morgan & Morgan in their time of need. And with over 1 million of those calls coming from previous clients, friends, and family.
My name is Jeannie. I was sitting in traffic and I was hit twice from behind by 2 different cars. My first thought was Morgan & Morgan. I was very surprised at how easy it was. I did not have to go into the office. I did everything by text. They needed documents, I could sign them, I could upload them, I could send them right back with ease. Call Morgan & Morgan. It's easier than you think.
Thank you for trusting us. We've become the largest injury firm in the world because we've won a lot. The word is out. Size matters. Reputation matters. We're America's largest injury law firm for a reason. With over 900 dedicated attorneys and climbing, we're ready wherever you are, whatever you need. The choice is easy. We're just a phone call away. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. This is your premier gun store. Premier Arms has the experience and know-how to help the new gun buyer and the most experienced marksman. They've been in business for over 20 years and have a friendly, knowledgeable staff that wants to help you, not talk down to you. Premier Arms in Brownsburg is family-friendly, so bring the kids. All ages are welcome. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. premierarms.com.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 free. Plus, free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gravely's Mow the Distance sales event is back. Now through Monday, you can save up to 25% with special financing available on America's most rugged mowers, including the Gravely ZT HD. It's the residential mower built to commercial standards with the power, durability, and high performance Gravely is known for. With a Gravely, you can count on more comfort, more speed, and more precision. But hurry, these special Mow the Distance savings are only available through Monday and only at your authorized Gravely dealer.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. I gotta say, one of the best things that I have been sent in the last couple of weeks is a clip from the John Oliver Show, in which he kind of lectures about Uber Eats and DoorDash. Allison, are you out there in the wide producer world this evening?
Hello.
Have you ever gotten DoorDash or Uber Eats?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I also have as well. And it's usually a pretty good experience. I like DoorDash, and the drivers that I have, they seem to like it. They've been pretty nice as far as, things are concerned. Look, it's not for everybody. Sometimes it's more useful than it is. Have you ever considered working for DoorDash or Uber Eats?
Actually, yes. I think in college, I considered DoorDash for a minute.
Gotcha. Well, I was in grad school to help pay my way a little bit through it on the top. I did a little bit of a DoorDash just for a while. And I chose to do it. And when I wanted to do some DoorDashing, it was kind of a nice way to hop on the app and earn a little extra dough. Well, did you know, Allison, that DoorDash is slavery? Did you know? It's modern. It's slavery. So John Oliver, and we cannot air the clip just yet because apparently this episode may not actually have aired, but it was leaked, in which John Oliver brings on these guests who say that life is now ruled by the algorithm. And that I guess that what they're saying is that if people send bad reviews, like let's say you get what's a place that you've DoorDashed to Uber Eats from, Allison?
Oh, I don't know. Panda Express.
All right, you got Panda Express. You get the orange chicken, and you get some half and half because you get a little fried rice, get a little chow mein going on there, and you open up your meal. The Uber Eats guy brings it to you, and you pick it up, and you open up a carton and oh my gosh, it's just fried rice, which is it's rough. It's awful. So you leave a bad review. You think of, you say, this isn't what I ordered. How dare this guy? And of course, it's not actually the Uber Eats guy that he can't actually pick up your food and like check it. That's, unsanitary. And he also isn't the one who made the food. But, you leave a bad review. And if you leave a couple bad reviews, then the people working for Uber Eats, it really messes with their account and they can get suspended because those companies don't often actually review a lot of complaint cases. And the algorithm can like tick them down so they don't get as many orders, and that's bad. This is where we go off the rail, though. John Oliver's guests and like this one IT professional guy says that this is algorithmic slavery. And what we are doing is we're creating a class of people whose lives are controlled by the algorithm. So that's taking it too far. It's just a little bit too much. I'm sorry. I hear you. Look, yeah, don't, say that it's all the DoorDash fault guy that my, the Big Mac that I ordered didn't actually come with 5 layers and extra Thousand Island sauce. I hear you, man. I agree. I like a lot of Thousand Island sauce on my Big Mac. But here's the deal. It's not their fault. I hear you there. They should do a better job of looking at reviews and things. I understand. But it's not slavery. It's just, you can say something's bad without saying that this is late-stage capitalistic slavery. Allison, have you ever been forced to work for DoorDash?
No, and I'm so confused. So is pizza delivery, is that also slavery?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Papa John's, really perpetuating a system of oppression. This is just unconscionable. Yeah. My point is, no one's ever kicked in your door and, forced you to the ground and said, all right, Allison, it's time for you to deliver some Panera to Jennifer down the street. That's like, you can choose to work for them. Like, it's an app that you can, if you want to do some DoorDash, make a little extra money on the side, you can do that. No one's forcing you to work for DoorDash or for Uber Eats. And in fact, literally, I didn't send in a 2-week notice when I was done DoorDashing. I just stopped DoorDashing. I still have the little red DoorDash cooler and the little light that I could put in my car, and they don't do anything because I quit. And I didn't have to do anything with HR. I just stopped. You can ask for things to be reformed. You can say, look, I'm going to use DoorDash because they treat their employees better than Uber Eats does. But it's not slavery. And asking Congress to get involved every single time. Remind me, Allison, do you have siblings?
I do, yes.
Okay, are you the oldest or one of the younger ones?
I am the oldest.
Oh, okay. So you understand this. All right. So my sister Emily, who's out there nursing at a certain hospital in Indianapolis, there were times when we were kids, and I hope that she's listening to this right now because we're going to air this out here in front of the listeners of WIBC, where nothing would go wrong at all. And she would run to my mother screaming and crying over the absolute littlest of nothings. And this is when we were very, very, very little. Do you ever have your siblings do that? They would just run to mom or dad over everything?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, imagine if you said something mean to one of your siblings, they instead ran to the police and they were like, you called me a big meanie head, you need to come arrest him. This is what it's like when someone's like, I don't really like how Uber Eats is canceling the algorithmic success for this employee that I complained about. Somebody get Congress over here. It's like, whoa, wait a minute here. Congress, the same Congress that can't even pass a decent economics bill. The same Congress who has not actively or successfully pulled a bureaucratic measure, meaning they haven't enforced an agency to do something good since any of those agencies have been founded. Come on, get out of here. Oh, I'm going to call Congress. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I think that Congress does a lot of stupid things, but managing Uber Eats is not something they need on their radar. It just ain't. There's big things going on in the world. There's problem on the world stage. The economy sucks. Gas is expensive. Migrants are running around everywhere, causing all kinds of problems. And I'm so sorry. I just don't think that Uber Eats and DoorDash. I just don't think that's the thing. I'm tired. I'm so tired of everything being an algorithmic conspiracy. Everyone wants the Matrix to be real so bad. So bad, because it just alleviates all of your personal problems that you have in your life. If I can blame it on the algorithm, and don't get me wrong, has there been shadow banning and algorithmic banning on social media? Absolutely. Has thought been suppressed on Facebook, on Twitter, on major social media platforms? Absolutely. Is that slavery? No. My brother, you can log off of the accounts. And yes, I think that accounts that portray themselves as platforms, as open spaces, kind of like the phone company, right? They're not responsible for the calls that are made on Verizon, right? Verizon doesn't have to go to court if I get on a Verizon phone and threaten somebody with assault, right? That's my fault. Yes, I do think that social media accounts should not be allowed to moderate politically and still claim that kind of special exempt status as an open platform. That's totally different, though, than me complaining about my Uber driver and then making the stupid decision of taking it out on the employee. You know, I can complain at a restaurant. I can go to Cracker Barrel, whose portion sizes are far too small these days, and I can complain to the manager. I can say, hey, look, I need you to, I can be one of those rude idiots that snaps at the waitress who I guess really wants their food spit on. And I can say, like, I need to see the manager. And I bring them over and I'm like, look at these pancakes. They're too small. They're the size of saucers. They used to be the size of dinner plates. And then the manager can choose to take that out on the waitress. If he's an idiot for some reason, he can take it out on the waitress or the waiter or whatever. But that's not, we don't need Congress to intervene from that. That's just a stupid business decision. You don't have to, not everything has to be slavery. I enjoy making a good joke. I do. I enjoy a little bit of exaggeratory drama. I run a satire account that is all about doing so. But when everything is slavery, you end up moving past actual events in the world like the Uyghurs and forced labor over in China, for example, in which slavery is actively in process. Up next, we're going to be talking to Jay Richards. He has a new book coming out, really in great response to some of the transgender nonsense going on around the country. Stick around. This is the Tony Kinnacast here on 93 WIBC.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author, executive producer, and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In this film, we traveled over 20,000 miles interviewing real Americans who've retired successfully with a great lifestyle and peace of mind. They share their stories on how they get more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and the money's never at risk if the market crashes. That's right, if the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even the super wealthy are shifting money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money saved, call to talk to a specialist and get a free copy of this brand new movie at 800-486-9595. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you can get it completely free. I'll even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call right now, 1-800-486-9595. That's 1-800-486-9595. Again, that's 1-800-486-9595.
April is here, and with the springtime weather, it's important to have quality windows. If yours won't open to let the fresh air in, won't seal tight to keep out the pollen and the bugs, or have been leaking water all winter, then it's time you talk to the experts at Window Nation. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 windows free. There's no limit on how much you could save. Plus, you could save even more with no interest or payments for 24 months. Window Nation's windows come with a lifetime warranty and can be installed in 1 day or less. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Don't miss out on your chance to afford quality windows with this unlimited buy 2, get 2 free plus 0 interest or payments for 24 months. You cannot afford to wait. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Schedule your free in-home estimate. Window Nation, tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
How would you like to get a 13% bonus when you invest your money? And not only do you get a 13% bonus, you'll also get an annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Discover how you can get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. Learn more from the retirement guy we trust, Bill Demery in Indy. Just call 317-932-9912.
This is such a no-brainer for me. You get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. And it's backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world.
So call Bill now at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Did you know if you have water, storm, or fire damage, the first step is on you? Yikes. It's your responsibility to mitigate damages. Mitigate? Yeah, that's a fancy word for call Michaelis. They'll take it from there, from boarding up, cleaning up, and fixing up, to getting you squared up with your insurance company, which is a whole other mess you can avoid. Make it Michaelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change. And generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. That's 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis. The live streams on Twitter, X, and YouTube, and the podcast everywhere else. Joining me now is Jay Richards from the Heritage Foundation, a guy with a much better sense of dressing than I have. And I tell him that every single chance I get, because we show up to conferences. We're there to talk about new ideas and sit on panels. And I can't sit on a panel with Jay because he always outdresses me. And it's very bothersome. So forget typical introductions. Jay, how's it going?
Great. Thanks, Tony.
So I wanted to congratulate you. I haven't read it yet, but Fight the Good Fight, your new book, with you and James Robison. It's a kind of an interesting take on the culture war, because so many new books that we see in modern age of the culture war are just about the specifics of how it came about. What are the details going on right now? You take it a step further. Give us an overview.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, James Robinson and I actually wrote a book together similar to this some years ago, back in 2012, another election year. That was the Romney-Obama election year. And we wanted to do something that spoke to the moment this year. But when I went back and looked at this book we did in 2012 called Indivisible, I thought, gosh, we live in a different universe now than we used to, even though, what is that, 12 years or something. And my experience working on the gender ideology fight over the last few years at Heritage has made me realize how much our culture has changed, because, I say most of the issues that we would deal with as conservatives, we all sort of look alike. It's like the Conservative Coalition looks like the Heritage Foundation internship pool or something like that. And yet, if you look at the coalition that has come together to fight gender ideology, of course, you see regular social conservatives, so they're all still there. But you also encounter things like, atheist evolutionary biologists, and maybe people that identify as lesbian, but just think, boys and girls are a real thing. Or maybe parents that have been completely apathetic politically until last year when they realized what's happening to their kids. And I think that's a sign of how radical our kind of public institutions, the commanding heights of culture, as the Marxists say, how radical they've become, that all of a sudden I think there's a new opportunity for a new coalition to form. And we talk about this, an alliance of faith and reason that includes all this kind of traditional conservatives, but a lot of anti-woke liberals and so-called refugees, people that are suddenly, because things have gotten so insane, even a lot of people that thought of themselves for so long on the left have really started rethinking things down to the foundations. And that's different in 2024. That was not happening in 2012.
And that's one of the things that really catches me off guard when I look at the scale today, comparing it back to 2012. If you would have told me that back in 2012 that I would see Ben Shapiro and J.K. Rowling teaming up to fight against the transgender movement, I wouldn't have even known how to respond. And yet here we are looking at this, and it's that core idea of big tent kind of rethinking the core philosophy that's so crucial, because we have these temporary allies, and something bigger, perhaps.
No, exactly. And that's how, we sort of say, look, let's fight together around the issues that we agree on. But what makes this issue different from, say, I don't know, some kind of coalition around a particular income tax rate or broadband regulation or something like that, is that there's this fundamental question of what is the human person? What is male and female? And of course, anybody that thinks about that knows that actually that has something to do with the institution of the family and children. That's the issue of the 21st century, that whether you think of it as theological or political or philosophical, what is the human person? What is man? And that means that the issue that's now at stake, that is now up for debate, is something that's so fundamental that it's, I think, going to lead to a completely different kind of coalition of people that were initially in opposition at a sort of earlier stage of development. And so as a conservative, what I think is, look, if you are what you think of yourself as a left-wing lesbian, but you agree that males shouldn't be going in women's bathrooms and going in women's prisons, I'm with you on that. I want to help you win that fight. But I also want to reserve the right to have a conversation about how this connects to a lot of other issues, because we didn't just get here out of nowhere. This issue is fundamental, and we were moving in this direction for a very long time. And there are a lot of, frankly, smart so-called refugees that refer to themselves that way. They're actually realizing that. They're like, gosh, I was with all of my friends on board. I was with Planned Parenthood and all this stuff until like day before yesterday, and I was wrong on this. All my friends are still wrong on this. I wonder what else I'm wrong about. And so it has the potential, I think, ultimately to lead to a kind of cultural renewal at the very moment when we think the culture is about to collapse.
And this is one of the reasons that, at least for me, that I believe that there is such an opportunity in this way for the kind of this big tent coalition to actually do something productive. Because if you look at school choice, for those who don't know, in the 90s, there was this school choice coalition that came out. And you had critical race theory leftists on the far left. And then you had these libertarians and conservatives on the right who united to push school choice. And it ended up failing in a sense because the critical race theory crowd is insanely racist. The school choice movement didn't cause them to second guess their founding principles.
That's right.
Whereas this, if you're saying, well, I know a man and a woman are different, and then you say, well, why? How do you know that? You have to start asking some pretty deep questions. And that's crucial at this point in our history.
It absolutely is. I mean, I'll just use one good example of this would be the evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins. I mean, remember, this is one of the leading lights of the new atheism. He wrote a book about, the evils of religion in general. And now listen to him. I retweet Richard Dawkins on X all the time when he's talking about this issue. But he's also now talking about how, if we're going to pick a culture, I would much rather have a Christian culture with public kind of something like Christian morality than the alternatives, right? This is Richard Dawkins talking this way. And that's a sign that, okay, something just completely different is happening. This is sort of architectonic in a way that a lot of our earlier political disagreements just were not. And I think that's important. But at the same time, we got to develop arguments and evidence. And that's what we try to do in the book. It's like, okay, look, here's how you can make the case for lots of things that people would think of as kind of conservative policy positions, but make the case based on public reason that ideally will appeal to anyone that is reasonably open-minded.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, political movements and policies, they do rise and fall, and more so attentions get, centered elsewhere. The world turns as it ever does. But when it comes to foundational principles and philosophies that your life is built on, the things that drive you to get up, these are questions that will stay. And so I absolutely agree with you. This isn't just about arguing, well, hey, yeah, I agree with you. This is why we need to vote for candidate X.
Right.
But actually ask some really deep moral underpinning questions and develop these relationships. And that's where I feel like we fail in big tent conservatism.
Yes.
It's like we extend a hand, but the hand is fake. It's like a mannequin hand. We're glad you're here, but you're only here at my very weird invitation. And it never lasts really long.
No, that's right. And I do think we need to take the longer view. I mean, the book's obviously designed for a political season. But I mean, we start right off talking about What's the foundation of law in general? I mean, is the Constitution, for instance, is actually based on anything permanent? Yeah, it's actually called the natural law. There's actually arguments for that. There are things that we need to recover that the American founders knew that just somehow disappeared in the 20th century. And I do think that the ferment and the chaos that we're all experiencing at the moment is also a moment of opportunity for renewal.
I think you hit that right on the head. Jay Richards from the Heritage Foundation, the guy when it comes to handling the gender ideology fight, he is the point man. New book, Fight the Good Fight, with James Robison. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tony.
We'll be right back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. This is the Tony Kinnacast on 93 WIBC.
Like magic, it appears in the sky. A rainbow. Somewhere over that rainbow lurks not bluebirds or dreams. Hidden behind that beauty is trouble.
Get a cone tornado right there.
Don't be fooled.
Tornado on the ground! Confirmed tornado on the ground! Confirmed tornadoes. Oh my gosh, look at it. Oh my gosh.
This spring, depend on your severe weather station.
Baseball size hell.
93 WIBC.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and the allergy season is getting a jump start on all of us, and we really need to get ready to fight back. How about having Zero Res help you take on dust and dander and allergens and even bacteria in your carpets with a great spring deal? Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $139 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning to get that true spring cleaning feel. It's unbelievable and kind of scary just how much of the uglies are in our carpets, and it's because those carpets are the largest air filter in the home. The Zero Res service is easy to line up. You can go online at ZeroResIndy.com, do the scheduling at your convenience. And don't forget the ZR water difference. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving things really clean. Now mention WIBC, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at $139, plus you'll get $75 off the air duct cleaning too. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZeroResIndy.com.
I'm Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy, and 18 years ago, I got my hair back.
I'm Rob, and 2 years ago, I got my hair back. Let this be your year to get your hair back and get your confidence back. Go to WeGrowHairIndy.com right now. We Grow Hair Indy has the multi-unit hair grafting hair transplant. That was the procedure that was best for me. Their easy 30-minute PRP and laser treatments fit into any man or woman's schedule. Find out which procedure is right for you. Call 317-522-2995 for your free hair and scalp evaluation.
I'm Rick DeMolin, former professional football player. I got my hair back. Hey, Barry Krause, #1 draft pick. I got my hair back.
Join me and thousands of others and get your hair back. Call 317-522-2995 or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's 317-522-2995. This year, get your hair back. Get your confidence back.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This time next week, I'll be sick in bed with West Nile virus, thanks to a mosquito bite right in front of my house.
In 8 minutes, my daughter will be in an ambulance, having an asthma attack, triggered by cockroaches.
I'm going to be bitten by a tick today. I won't even know it until Lyme disease turns my life upside down.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association and the CDC.
We're all different. 1 in 5 of us live with a mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Talk to someone you trust. Learn more at bringchangetomind.org.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
All right, this is a new segment here on the Tony Kinnett Cast called Unnecessary Hot Takes, where I reach down into the depths of my great wisdom and knowledge and unthinkable big brain genius amazingness. I'm going to get emails with people thinking that I'm serious there. Where I reach into the depths of human knowledge and I pull out the most unnecessary hot take for all of you to applaud and cheer and think is just, the best thing on planet Earth. And tonight's super duper incredible, yet strangely unnecessary hot take is, guys, it's time to be done with all of the fast food the food competition shows. It's time to get rid of all of the big network TV food competition shows. It's done. We've had a good time, but I mean really. At the end of the day, there are currently 59 active food competition shows in the United States from people who are cooking in some form of Iron Chef knockoff to people who are making cupcakes while some very weird lady paints her glasses bright green. And it's time to stop. And the reason that it is time to stop is, with very few exceptions, we've cooked all the food by now. And look, I've watched so many different seasons of Hell's Kitchen. I've watched MasterChef. There's only so many times I can watch the judges. It zooms in and the music gets all intense, like dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And Gordon Ramsay goes, all right, olive oil in the pan. Let's see how you seared this steak. Because if it's medium rare, you stay in the competition. And if not, you're turning in your apron and going home. And then it zooms in and the music's like, dun, 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 dun. And then it cuts to commercial. And then after 3 very weird, unrelated commercials, it comes back and you hear the music again. It's dun, 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 dun. And it cuts in and it goes, it's raw, it's not medium rare, turn in your apron and go home. And that's every single show. It's everyone, or if it's not cooking the same foods that I've seen you cook every single time, you're mixing 2 different cultures of food in a dish that just doesn't go together. You're like, introducing new Taiwanese motor oil fusion, where we take Detroit-style pizza, which isn't actually a real kind of pizza, and we mix it with Taiwanese rice noodles. Ooh. And then the judges don't like it, so they have to make up some new way of saying that it's kind of terrible, but they appreciate it. Like, I can really tell your passion as someone who clearly grew up making Puerto Rican cuisine in the Bronx. That is, when you weren't putting New Orleans style seasonings on San Franciscan food. And again, it has nothing to do with anything at all. The judge is just making stuff up. So much so, by the way, that they have started bringing on other celebrities that have never at all been in the food game in any way, shape, or form. And it's like bringing on Keanu Reeves. He's like, I think that you added too much mustard. And that's all he has to say. Or you get the really pretentious celebrity like Paris Hilton. She's like, I just think that the flavor and the texture really speaks to my inner being. And it's like, you're eating pudding. These shows, we be done with it. Be done with it. The only one that is at all good anymore is Guy Fieri's Tournament of Champions. And I'm not going to be nice to Guy Fieri. Give me just a second, all you Flavor Town goobers out there. But the Tournament of Champions is at least interesting because there is this big, huge Wheel of Fortune multiplied by 5 wheel that they have every single show, and it's always different, in which they spin all of the wheels, and it says, you have to cook a pork chop in Mediterranean style with an immersion blender, and it needs to be something I would order at a diner. And then there's some kind of random extra element. And then that's at least kind of keeping it fresh. But even then, I mean, come on, Guy. You've had 34 seasons of Guy's Grocery Games. We've had 836 segments of Hell's Kitchen. I don't know. It would be harder to find people who haven't been chefs at this point. And I say that because there is literally someone who substitute taught at the school my wife worked at in Warren Township, who was one of the contestants on these shows. It's time to call it in, guys. Remember in the 70s when there were like 50 different quiz shows and they all had the same music and it was like, let's see if you get the Whammo prize. And it's like a metal detector. And we did that for the entire decade of the 70s. And we all agreed that that was enough. And that if you weren't Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or Family Feud or The Price is Right, maybe it was time to go home. I think it's time we pick like 1, maybe 2 cooking competitions. There are only so many ways to cook a cupcake. Janine, I'm sorry. I don't want to. Oh, you're using a buttercream frosting in this cupcake? Ooh, that's exciting. And before I get all the comments that, well, people are allowed to enjoy things, that's great. You know what you can enjoy? The 45 other seasons of someone making this exact same cupcake or this exact same steak. And I love to cook. I enjoy cooking. I'm sorry you're not. You can cook a steak, fantastic. So can everyone else in 2024. And if not, you can watch a YouTube video and learn how to do it. Taking up all of the network space with your cooking shows. What was it in the 2010s? What was it, like the reality shows? There was like a Real Housewives of every city. Introducing the Real Housewives of Connorsville. And you're like, Connorsville? Who the heck's looking for the housewife drama from Connorsville? Now I'm going to get emails from angry people in Connorsville. So that's why this segment is so fun. It's just unnecessary hot takes that are going to get me thrown off of the air. Because either you think this is really funny or you're currently writing that angry letter right now. I was the second producer for Guy's Grocery Games 36 season when someone actually cooked surf and turf. You don't need so many seasons of this. And by the way, I am fully aware that I am one of about 1 billion conservative commentators on the air, and that there is a very fresh level of hypocrisy in me, the Baptist version of Matt Walsh, waltzing out here onto the air and telling you a bunch of hot political takes from the day's news. I realize that's not original. And so therefore, because it takes one to know one, I can recognize that in a similar yet very different industry, that we have done the consumer food network competition shows to death. I'm ready to go back to see an Emerald Live swoop in at the end of a really awkward Kathy and Regis show and just start saying bam as he drops a spice that never should have belonged on a piece of chicken there in front of God and everybody. Or even better, I want to see like celebrities be forced to cook things on air. Like this week, you bring Gwyneth Paltrow in and like force her to microwave mac and cheese and watch her screw it up. That would be funny television. I don't want to see Courtney from Kansas waltz out there and tell us her heartwarming story about how she's always loved cooking. Wow, you also made food for your relatives who were sick? Oh, that's wonderful. I sure hope you make it to the next... biggest yawns on earth. I am already getting messages about people who don't like the segment. Well, thank you for tuning in to a great segment no one asked for, Unnecessary Hot Takes. We might bring it back if I'm not fired. Thanks for tuning in this evening. We'll be back tomorrow. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.